Wonderful. So we'll just take in a gentle breath. Wonderful. And with great peace, great love, and great joy, we thank the presence of Mother, Father, God, and all the archangels and ascended masters. We thank as well the angelic realm, the elemental realm, our ancestors, spirit guides, animal guides, and guardian angels. We celebrate tremendous peace, wonderful love, and incredible joy being here right now. And we thank as well the angelic realm, the elemental realm, our ancestors, spirit guides, animal guides, and guardian angels. We celebrate tremendous peace in the presence of love. And in the presence of love, we recognize that we are seen and heard and known. We know that tremendous peace is here and incredible love is here right now. So we'll just gently breathe in. And if we could indeed, on your next inhale, just breathe in like it's your very first breath. Wonderful. So we'll just gently breathe in. Wonderful. And right where you are, if we could just notice the presence of Archangel Michael. And Archangel Michael is the angel of clearing and protection. And the angels could be with all of us at once without being distracted or diluted. So if we could just gently breathe in and just notice right where you are the presence of this angel. And we'll just gently breathe in. And whether we see him, feel him, hear him, or know that he's there, which might be like a flash, or like a whisper or a nudge, or something more overt, if we could just breathe in and notice Archangel Michael engaging with you, Archangel Michael seeing you, and Archangel Michael infusing the environment that you're in, right where you are, infusing that environment with the presence of and energy of peace. If we could just gently breathe into that. And if we could just notice, and this is perhaps felt or sensed, the familiarity of Archangel Michael and his familiarity with you. If we could trust that Archangel Michael is an expert in each of us, he's an expert in you. If we could just breathe in, we'll just bypass the old mythology around worth and deserving with angels, and we'll embrace and recognize the power of unconditional love. That unconditional love, meaning that no matter what has happened, that you are loved. No matter what hasn't happened, that you are loved. And no matter what might or might not happen, that you are loved exactly as you are right now. So we'll just gently breathe into that. And if we could notice Archangel Michael doing three things, if we could notice Archangel Michael perhaps moving in space, and perhaps Archangel Michael's really big, and if we could notice him untangling everything, untangling wires, untangling tension, untangling the past, and perhaps all of that is done with elegant motion. And if we could also notice Archangel Michael being like a breath of fresh air and refreshing the oxygen, refreshing the atmosphere, refreshing the energy right where you are. And we'll notice Archangel Michael knowing who you are. And if we could just breathe in to a beautiful spiritual truth that you are included in all the good in the universe. that you are included in incredible good right now. So we'll just gently breathe into all that. And if we can also breathe into the universe and universal truths, which is there is enough for everyone. There is enough healing. There are enough ideas. There is enough grace. There is enough good. There is enough abundance. And if we could release or take the needle off of the record of the idea that it's too late, and if we could release the idea that too much has happened, and release the idea of lack, and we'll just breathe in to the fact that you are here, that you're here right now, whether for those of us doing this live right now, or those who will listen a different time, or even those that just know that this is happening, or will hear about it, that we're included and that we are right on time. So we'll just breathe into that it's not too late. And that one of the unifying dynamics that is here right now is that we have faith. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have faith. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have hope. And we'll just breathe into that awareness and all the possibilities that are present right now. And we'll just gently breathe into all of that. And also from Archangel Michael is he's bringing up like the legacy, he's bringing up Greek myths and such, and how myths and through time leading up to this moment right now, and the power of archetypes. And if we could just breathe in and recognize it's okay for the universe to help us, it's okay for our reference points to be helpful, it's also okay for reference points to change. And that it's okay for the story to change. And something that was mentioned last week that is always worth bringing up, so we'll bring up again now, of the context for this time, which is a mighty one, which is the traumas on the surface for everyone, personal trauma, national trauma, global trauma. And as spiritual people, which is everyone here, that it's for us to heal ourselves. And to recognize why that's important right now is that this is the moment where as spiritual people we're leading the way in the time where everyone else is distracted. So in having this moment, this group, this conversation, this recording, is just seeing that peace is not only possible, it's present. And our healing includes more peace. Our healing includes more grace. Our healing includes having more options and a greater sense of recognition of our role in these lifetimes, which is not just to suffer. It's recognizing the commonality of every single person here, myself, Melanie, everyone here, that we've had hard things happen. And we're used to the hard things defining ourselves, and perhaps we interrupt that narrative and recognize that the hard things have happened to teach us, to give us wisdom and such, and we get to heal them more than ever. And we let the light shine in, and we let the angels help. So we'll just gently breathe into all of this, and with great gratitude and with great peace, And with incredible love, we'll just gently breathe in. And everyone's muted. And if we could just gently and simply do a couple identifying free will acts, we'll just say our own names out loud and I'll demonstrate that. I am Mark. So we could all say that, your own name, I am. And then we'll say, I'm not anybody else. And saying your own name again, I am Mark. I am my conscious adult self. And I am right on time. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for helping me in every part of my life. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for clearing my energy and my environments. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for infusing all of my encounters and environments with unconditional love. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for infusing all of my encounters and environments with unconditional love. And as we say the affirmations, we could say them 1%, we could say them 10%. Just noticing we're never trying to kick open a door. We're just introducing possibility and affirming who we actually are. So we'll just gently breathe into all that. And we'll also say out loud, thank you, Archangel Michael, for individualizing my energy. And if we could just breathe in and let Archangel Michael do all of that, letting Archangel Michael disentangle any energetic bonds between you and everyone whom you know, including people that you're close to, including people who are passed away. If we could just breathe in, this is not banishing people, but very simply individualizing your energy so more things can happen. So we'll just notice the release of energetic cords between you and your family, including parents and grandparents and step-parents and in-laws, between you and siblings and step-siblings, and children and grandchildren and stepchildren, and aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews, all current and past romantic and sexual partners, all of your ancestors, all of your friends, including former friends and childhood friends, everyone you currently work with or have worked with in the past, excuse me, everyone you've gone to school with, teachers, fellow students, administrators, staff, and tutors, all authority figures, presidents, police, politicians, landlords, everyone you've exchanged money with, everyone you've shared a meal with, everyone you physically have touched, and anyone you've ever seen, read, or heard about, and anyone who's ever seen, read, or heard about you. Be that in person, in a photograph, or on the internet, or in print advertisements, newspapers, magazines, billboards, television, film, and the internet. If we could just breathe in, let all those energetic ties be released, and we'll just gently breathe in, and we'll say once again our own names. I am Mark. And let's say out loud, thank you, Archangel Michael, for surrounding me with 1,000 feet of unconditional love. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for surrounding me with 1,000 feet of unconditional love. And if we could just breathe in, we could do the stretch if you want to, and just noticing this expanse. So we're used to a sensitive people, we're used to energy always coming this way. Let's do the opposite. So right where you are, if we could just notice Archangel Michael facilitating and curating 1,000 feet of unconditional love, which might look like white light moving in front of you. If you could just notice how far 1,000 feet is, it's really far, and through walls and windows and trees and cars and sidewalks and streets, and noticing 1,000 feet of unconditional love behind you, 1,000 feet of unconditional love to your left, 1,000 feet of unconditional love to your right, 1,000 feet of unconditional love above you and beneath you, and 1,000 feet of unconditional love in every single system in your body, including your nervous system, including your structural system, including your system of organs, your digestive system, your respiratory system, your circulatory system, your structural system, your energetic systems of chakras and meridians and auras, your intuitive systems, and systems that include nerves like the vagus nerve, and the brilliance of your body. We'll just breathe into that. Hair, teeth, your senses, everything connected with sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. So we'll just gently breathe into all of this. And we'll just notice that you, surrounded by 1,000 feet of unconditional love, you in the middle of this really big space. And we'll just notice, what's it like to exist in unconditional love? And as sensitive people, what's like to us in a really loving and peaceful and elegant way to influence energy rather than react to energy, which is often what we're used to. So we'll just breathe into that expansion. And in this space of expansion, we'll just gently breathe in. And we'll just notice Archangel Michael. Whether you see him, feel him, sense him, know that he's there, or hear him, which might be super subtle. And we'll just notice Archangel Michael sharing space with you, right where you are right now. So we'll just gently breathe into that. And if we could notice you and Archangel Michael joining together, and we'll all do this, and we'll just notice a prayerful intention for a peaceful planet. A prayerful intention where everyone on the planet has their needs met and exceeded. A beautiful intention and a healing intention that all of us have not only our needs met but exceeded, but that there's more peace, and that we support each other, encourage each other, see each other, hear each other, and recognize the commonality in our experience that every single person on the planet wants peace and love. And we'll just breathe in to that prayer, to that intention, that everything is heading that way. It may not seem like it, but it's safe for us to have wisdom. It's safe for us to lead the way. It's safe for us to have positive influence. It's safe for us to focus on what we would like to have happen rather than react to what we don't want to have happen. So we'll just gently breathe into all of this. And we'll come back to free will. If we could just gently once again say our own names out loud. I am Mark. And I'm so grateful to live on a peaceful planet. I'm so grateful to exist in harmony. I allow my nerves to be peaceful. I'm grateful for my thoughts being focused. I welcome incredible good into my life. I am right on time. Thank you, angels, for helping all of us all the time. I ask for this or something better right now in all directions of time. And so it is. Wonderful. So we'll just gently breathe in. And if we could just notice something, if we could just notice who you are right now, we'll just notice that some things have floated away and other things have become more prominent. And if we could just notice the you who's prayed for everyone, let's notice that you. The you who can include everyone in your thoughts and intentions and prayers. And knowing that that's possible. Just noticing that that you exists. And perhaps in that awareness, the recognition that you are not stuck, that we are not stuck, nor are we done, that how things are, this is not where things end, that we're part of a progression, and we get to lead the way, and that we are not alone. There's millions of people, millions and millions of people doing what we're doing right now. Having intention, gathering community, healing, expanding, and being of service. Wonderful. So we'll just breathe into all that. And with grace and gratitude, we thank the presence of Mother, Father, God, and all the archangels and ascended masters, knowing that incredible good is here right now. We thank Archangel Michael and all the angels for being our friends and for helping us, and for the wonderful peace that is here in our minds and hearts, in our physical bodies, mental bodies, emotional bodies, and spiritual bodies right now. And we know that great grace is here and harmony is present. Wonderful. So we'll just gently breathe in as we ask for this or something better right now in all directions of time. And so it is. Wonderful. Good work, everyone. Appreciate you all doing that. Wonderful. Good work, everyone. Appreciate it. Wonderful. So in this space with long brain waves and perhaps with relaxation, we're just going to, Melanie and I have, Melanie's compiled some questions that we're going to work through with some quotes from the book as we learn. Wonderful. Thanks for the nice words in the chat room. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Melanie.
Right. So the first quote that I've chosen to discuss here is on page 18, and it's, "Somehow the very event that caused them so much pain had also become their sole source of meaning. They felt fully alive only when they were revisiting their traumatic past." So my question here for this is, how does spirituality, but really anything, but especially spirituality, play into reconnecting with the sense of purpose or meaning in our lives? And how does that help us to heal from trauma?
Great question. That quote's on the bottom of page 18, which is to not let one thing define us, which I think comes forward with age, of who we actually are, and where we get fixed on one thing, like this thing happened, which means that I am this, or the people around us going like, oh, you are this, and just recognizing who we actually are. So the we, and this is a nice elegant segue from what we just did, of like the you, the us who just prayed, the you who just did a 20-minute angel meditation. Who's that you? And that's us tapping into, and this is the benefit of spirituality, which is adding more options. That, as my friend Wendy was here, her business name is More is Available, that more is available, and that there's more options available. But recognizing what spirituality does is replace our doubts with possibility and adding more options. And also, it gives us the option of having help. Thank you, angels, for helping me in every single part of my life. Thank you, angels, for helping me heal. So it's this bringing in, where, as we just did in the angel experience, of we are used to everything being small, and the narratives in the world, especially the media, make our lives small. And let's be big. That we are big. We have big energy. And we have big intentions. And it's that reminder. And that bigness isn't always available to us. But the difference between this and this is substantial. So it's just like changing channels on the TV and seeing then what helps us to feel bigger. For me, music does that really well, as does art, as does looking at, the sky or seeing a bird. So whatever it is that works for us with that, it's very personal. But to keep the world big and have things that remind you of the world being big.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Okay, the next
I,
quote
I
that
real quick, just tell a
Okay.
quick story because it's on my mind. I was at New Renaissance this weekend, and a person came in who had come the previous month, and they'd had a stressful work situation and just straight up put forward a prayer. Thank you for so and so being transferred away from the abusive manager. She came in the other day. Guess what happened? She got transferred away from the abusive manager, and her delight was 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 just so great in terms of like, wow, that actually happened. That actually worked. And with that, it's just recognizing, well, what for her was like, well, what else can happen? What else can happen? Just is it's a sense of possibility. But if we could think of in very simple terms spiritually, let's not be the ones who say no. And we tend not to, if we talked about this last week with Mina Grace, of one thing that trauma does is it minimizes our imagination. Let's reclaim our imagination. And let's very simply and lovingly let the universe know what we would like to have happen. And we could do that with big broad strokes of thank you for me being happy. I celebrate being happy in my life. And just put things on the table. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank
Mhm.
you for that.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's see. The next quote that I pulled out here is on page 27, and it's it's in the second paragraph there. And it's failure to attend to our simple human needs results in a stunted existence, no matter how lofty our thoughts and worldly accomplishments. Healing depends on experiential knowledge. You can be fully in charge of your life only if you can acknowledge the reality of your body in all its visceral dimensions. So my question here is, what exactly do you think that van der Kolk means by experiential knowledge, and how can we apply this in our real everyday lives?
A different way to say that let's keep the world big, and to another, I think also what is present in what's being said there is let's take good care of ourselves. Let's take good care of our bodies. And in recognizing one of the fallacies of our current time is everything's focused on your consciousness, everything's focused on information, and to be a human body in motion in the world. And to recognize how good that feels, be that to be in water or to, look at the sunset, whatever it is, just to use all of ourselves. And one of the things that happens in grief and trauma is, and this was in the previous quote, of like we tend to define ourselves with great limitation. And we tend to also define ourselves through our social roles. And if we come back to, and this is the beauty of saying things like, I am Mark, which is something that my EMDR therapist Leroy taught me years ago, of just recognizing, well, who are we and what's possible in that? And also then what are our bodies asking of us? What are our emotions asking of us? And to very simply recognize the power of meeting our own needs. We are taught, talk about fallacy, with love, pop songs have done us an immense disservice with the idea that love is out there. You're lucky to get love. It's somewhere else. And what's it like to give ourselves acts of love and incredible grace? So it's just being part of the solution and recognizing that we're actually alive here. This is an interesting thing. One last thought on this is when world events happen or natural things happen that get us outside of phones and computers into, wow, the wind blew, or wow, there's a storm, or wow, there's a tornado, that those things shift our consciousness and awareness and get us into a unified state. And that perhaps is a space that we could choose to be in, as opposed to the sense of isolation that's not serving anyone.
Very well said. Yeah, talking about getting our needs met makes me think about, I feel like our culture has a big thing right now around self-care, which is amazing, though sometimes it starts to err on the side of, take a nice bubble bath, buy yourself something fancy, which is great, but I think we get away from this idea that our most simple basic needs, like hugging another person or eating dinner when you're hungry, having a snack when you're hungry, making sure you drink water, that is some of the most important and underrated self-care of all. And it's not big or glamorous or expensive. It's just taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And immediately. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Well said. Thank you, Melanie.
You're welcome. So the next quote that I have in question comes from page 38. Let me just flip to that. All right, and this is, I'll read the whole little paragraph here, but van der Kolk is talking about these 4 fundamental truths, basically, for our capacity to heal. So the first one is, our capacity to destroy one another is matched by our capacity to heal one another. Restoring relationships and community is central to restoring well-being. Number 2, language gives us the power to change ourselves and others by communicating our experiences, helping us to define what we know, and finding a common sense of meaning. 3, we have the ability to regulate our own physiology, including some of the so-called involuntary functions of the body and brain, through such basic activities as breathing, moving, and touching. And 4, we can change social conditions to create environments in which children and adults can feel safe, where they can thrive. So I was just wondering if you could expand a bit on that, or if you had anything to add. I think those are great truths.
They're great truths. Well, all of them involved, this just struck me as you were reading them, which is, this is our adult selves. That the us, the you who could do all that is your conscious adult self. And where in adolescent America, adolescent America is growing up right now, and just seeing that shift where to move away from the impulse, the adolescent impulse to, well, I disagree with you, so I'm going to destroy you. That involves wisdom, which is seeing the commonality of intention, that once again we all want peace and love, and getting into the space where wisdom exists, to know that what actually is sustainable and what actually works, which is encouraging each other and helping each other out. And what's it like then also to not react to something, but to respond. And also to not react, but to intend. And coming back to, who is the us who does those things? the conscious adult. So if there's two thoughts here. One, energy tends to just recycle. Let's be the one who don't recycle the energy and have an intention. That's something new. And we might, let's say, in a business, in a home, in a community, on a planet, be the only ones who are praying, the only ones who are having an intention. Let's trust that intention takes root. And the second thought would be with that of the power of our words. The power of our words to heal ourselves, affirmation, denial, yeses and nos, and to put those to use. And with the last one, we could change social conditions to create environments in which children and adults can feel safe and where they could thrive. So who is the us who advocates for kids? And there's a thought here with this that, well, of course people would, advocate for kids. Maybe it's not happening so much. Let's actually do it. One of the best things I could do in my job as an intuitive and talking to a lot of people, one-on-one and in groups, is to advocate for kids. For real. And without going remotely into detail of, there's something happening which is like a Sam Shepard play with all these different convoluted things. But in shorthand, this may sound mean, but it's not, which is for adult problems compared to children problems, like the adults are fine. They're fine. They're fine. Let's take care of the kids. And maybe there's part of us that's where we are right now, to prioritize the end of cruelty and the fostering of generosity and who we must be as conscious adults and what we must model to help create the world that these kids are going to inhabit. Because the kids are different. I have many nieces and nephews. The nephew I'm closest to, he doesn't have the rugged individualism thing. He's a collaborator. He likes to do things together, which is a big difference. Yeah. That feel like that answers that?
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you said, and also from the quote as well, the key theme seems to be intention and autonomy, and that we have power, way more power than we may have been told, whether that was through our parents or a diagnosis or anything. It kind of takes that autonomy and power out of our hands, and we feel that we can't have intention about things because things are set out for us. But I feel like these truths and what you were saying reminds us that we do, in fact, have the power to create the conditions that we need and to be there for each other and ourselves. So beautiful.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so let's see. The next one that I have is on page 57, and it is the second paragraph there right at the beginning. And it is, the emotional brain is at the heart of the central nervous system, and its key task is to look out for your welfare. If it detects danger or a special opportunity, it alerts you by releasing a squirt of hormones. The resulting visceral sensations, ranging from mild queasiness to the grip of panic in your chest, will interfere with whatever your mind is currently focused on and get you moving physically and mentally in a different direction. So I guess my question here is, how does this kind of new understanding of emotions as actually are protectors of our bodies, not something irrational, but something that comes from the deepest part of our brain and our body's wiring, how does that shift in perspective help us to foster more compassion for ourselves when we're feeling our emotions?
Well, that's a good question. Which is to, I could think of a story real quick, which is I was in Los Angeles during the LA riots in 92. And maybe 6, 7 years ago, I was in Los Angeles listening to K-Rock, the modern rock station, and they played a song that was talking about how cool the LA riots were. And my heart raced, I went into a rage, and I broke out into a sweat. And that was happening. Part of me was going like, that's interesting. That's interesting. And so the part that thought that's interesting got myself to calm down. And I think that is the space that we could do. I just witnessed at the coffee shop earlier today, two guys having an argument, and one was in a space of trying to be heard, the other one was being aggressive. but it's just recognizing what we can do to kind of catch ourselves or catch others and to recognize what's actually happening. The great modern example of this is Will Smith at the Oscars, which is he got triggered, went into a fight, flight, or freeze response, and he fought. What I know from this book is that half of his brain shut down. So his capacity was cut in half. So it's recognizing what is actually happening in these moments. And what's possible in these moments to begin to just self-regulate and to perhaps place a hand on our heart, whatever works for us, and to talk to the part of ourselves that's upset, which might be a younger part. And when I do this, it's like, it's okay. I know that's really agitating. I know you're really angry about that, or that's really not fair, is it? That was mean that happened. And just start to soothe. And we would do that for others. It is getting into getting folks out of a fight or flight freeze response, which often requires some physicality. Maybe touch, maybe not touch, maybe a glass of water, and maybe just a lot of space of like creating a context like, it's okay. Why don't you just take in a breath? And all those things sound simple, but what they're saying is the power of presence, be it our own presence or the presence that we're holding for someone else or someone's holding for us, is very important in that to regulate, to come back to being. Yeah. How's that sound to you, Melanie?
Sounds great. I know when we were talking about some of these quotes earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I had mentioned that growing up and still, I've always been considered and considered myself, I guess we would say, overly emotional most of the time, and my reactions tend to be very intense emotion. And it was hard for me to accept that about myself. But reading this and reading about how emotions are actually our body's response in an attempt to protect ourselves and detect threats and changes in our environments has helped me to foster a lot more gratitude for my body. And something that I've been trying to do personally that I invite you all to try if you'd like is kind of talking to my body in the morning and saying, thank you, body, for trying your best to keep me safe. Thank you for allowing me to be here because I couldn't be here without you. And that has helped me a lot, I think, to slowly move towards more peace over my emotions and my body's reactions. So,
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. So the next one that I have is, let's go to page 62, if you have the book. And the quote is, being able to hover calmly and objectively over our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and then take our time to respond, allows the executive brain to inhibit, organize, and modulate the hardwired automatic reactions pre-programmed into our emotional brain. So in this, van der Kolk is referring to this capacity for self-objectivity as mindfulness, and he says that this is one of the most crucial aspects for holding relationships with other people and ourselves. So what are some practices or exercises that help cultivate mindfulness for all of us?
Well, several things. Meditation is a great thing. If your brain's on fire, meditation is really hard. And I think there's a space to, and I've been in groups and situations where there was good intention, but if the answer is only like, well, just be quiet with yourself or just meditate, and that might not be possible. This gets into the options of a walking meditation. Something that I have found great value with is to let's say be in nature or just even walking down the street and to highlight a certain sense like sight or sound or feel, and to then which changes your brain and highlights like, oh, I heard a skateboard, oh, I heard a bird, which then changes our experience. But what we're doing in that ultimately with any kind of meditative act or mindfulness is letting the world be bigger and elongating our brain waves. As we spoke about briefly last week, everything, this is a great thing. This phone is a fantastic tool. It's so not great for our brains because everything becomes short. And so we're trying to reestablish length and reestablish our connection with centeredness. And whatever gets us there, be that coloring, be that knitting, be that watching a program that you love, or listening to music or playing music, all these things are in the same alignment in terms of creating more coherence and coming back to coherence. So perhaps a different way to say all that simply is we're going to drop out of the incoherence and drop into coherence, and whatever gets us there is going to help with that. Also, this last thing of the Thich Nhat Hanh walking meditation, of just like being really mindful with your steps, or standing on grass or touching a tree. Just down the street from where Melanie is at New Renaissance in Portland, there's this, oak tree that was there in 1840 when Portland was settled. It's been there for 200 years, which is this mighty tree. And touching that tree is like, okay, we're plugging into something. So whatever helps us with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So the next quote is about the polyvagal theory on page 80, and it says, "The polyvagal theory provided us with a more sophisticated understanding of the biology of safety and danger, one based on the subtle interplay between the visceral experiences of our own bodies and the voices and faces of the people around us. It clarifies why knowing that we are seen and heard by the important people in our lives can make us feel calm and safe, and why being ignored or dismissed can precipitate rage reactions or mental collapse." So could you expand a little bit on this passage and just on the vagus nerve in general and what's important about it?
Yeah. That this is an opportunity with the awareness of the polyvagal theory and the vagus nerve is to just use a tool to take care of ourselves. If we could do something together, if we could perhaps just very simply with the back of our fingers, just run our fingers down the sides of our neck. And if we could just gently do that. And as we do that, we're just going to shift gears and expand back into our conscious adult selves, our spiritual selves, and just let that be heightened once again. And recognizing this act of self-care is profound. And we'll just keep doing that. And just as we're here together, and as we start steering toward a conclusion of our work tonight, we'll just recognize, well, let me acknowledge you for being here, that your presence matters, and that you are seen and heard and appreciated for everything that you're bringing to this moment, for your act of self-care, for your expansive intentions, and for your healing, that your healing is important, and that great good is here, and great good is part of this moment right now. So we'll just keep doing that, and just noticing, even as I do this and talk, of like my ear is buzzing, there's an activation in the crown chakra, just saying like, what's happening for you, and what's it like to give ourselves gentle touch and to not be in a rush and to see what happens. So we'll just breathe in as we keep doing that. And we'll just notice, and this may sound like a simple thought, but it's not. It's okay to be calm. It's okay to be calm. It's okay to take care of ourselves. And if we could, as we continue here, just recognize the things that sometimes interrupt our progress. And a lot of them are very Western culture things, which is trying to control everything, trying to figure everything out. And the idea that something else should be happening rather than what is happening right now. And we'll just notice that it's okay to be peaceful. It's okay to have a soothing experience. It's okay for good things to happen. It also is okay to be seen and to be heard, and to be part of something and to be acknowledged. So we could take this moment, I like to take this moment to acknowledge each and all of you for your presence, including folks who will watch later, for showing up, and honoring you for taking care of yourself, for being part of a group and part of the community, and for the honor that we give each other and the honor we give ourselves. And I want to honor you and recognize there's a commonality that's pretty strong right now, which is there's a lot of stuff coming up for folks, a lot of change happening for folks. This is the time to use our spiritual toolbox. Be that a crystal, be that rescue remedy, be that a walk in nature, be that the gym or music, or doing things like this, or praying. That it's important that we do that things, but witness the change that's happening everywhere, where things are not familiar so much, and we can find familiarity in our faith, in our hope, and in our healing. And faith in each other, that all the people who are here right now share an intention with you, that we all want things to be better. And we're learning together, dropping out of things together, healing together. And we're also doing those things individually and on a mass level. And if we could just trust the progression and perhaps the elegance of that progression, where there's a lot of things that very simply aren't sustainable happening right now, including cruelty. And what's it like to be kind? And we get to be kind to ourselves here and to put more options on the table. Okay? So we'll just gently breathe into all that. Wonderful. Melanie, how's that feel for you?
Feels great. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Why don't we conclude there? Okay? Wonderful. Yeah, so the grand idea to get through the whole book, we're letting that go, not attachment. We're going to keep working like a few dozen pages at a time or so, or maybe 20. And thank you, Melanie, for finding those quotes and for the conversation. Appreciate the space that you hold and representing the store. And part of the intention of doing this is to support an independent bookstore, which is New Renaissance Bookshop. So if you're in Portland and want to get this or supplemental resources, Melanie has a list of those supplemental resources, be that books or Bach flower remedies or crystals. Or you could order online. If you go to the New Renaissance Bookshop, they have an online store also. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, everyone, I really appreciate your presence. I appreciate your participation, and we'll do this again next week and the week after. So thank you all so much for being here and for participating and for supporting a store. Wonderful. Thank you all so much. I wish you all a really good evening.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Have a blessed evening.
Thank
You
you. Thanks,
too.
Diane.
And
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Diane. Thank you, Wendy L. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori. Yeah.
Bye. Thank you, Joni.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Suzanne.
That was fantastic.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was deep. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Good. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Wonderful. And thanks, Janine, for staying up on the East Coast. Appreciate that. Yeah. It's close to 11. Yeah, wonderful. And thank you, Patty and Ines.
Really
Thanks,
great.
Lori. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Lori.
Glad you found me, Melanie.
Yeah, I'm glad I did too. Glad you could get in.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Thank
Bye.
you.